Imagine you have a sibling, someone you've grown up with, sharing childhood memories, family gatherings, and countless inside jokes. At first, being around them feels comforting, familiar. But over time, you start noticing patterns in your relationship that are harder to ignore. Maybe they only call when they need something, ignoring you when you need support. Or perhaps they constantly criticize you, downplaying your achievements and making you feel small. They may even expect you to prioritize their needs and feelings without ever considering yours. As these patterns continue, being around them begins to drain your energy, leaving you feeling undervalued and emotionally exhausted. You wonder why a relationship that should feel supportive has become so unbalanced and harmful. Family connections often come with the expectation of loyalty, but when a family relationship consistently makes you feel stressed or insecure, it's worth considering the toll it's taking on your well-being. Just as you would distance yourself from an unkind friend or a demanding co-worker, setting boundaries with family, even with siblings, can be a vital act of self-respect. After all, every healthy relationship should foster mutual support and respect. Sometimes, ending contact, or at least limiting it, is necessary to protect your peace and growth. Relationships, even with family, should lift you up rather than weigh you down. When someone consistently leaves you feeling unworthy, unseen, or overwhelmed, it might be a sign that the relationship is no longer healthy. Ending contact doesn't mean you don't care. It means you value yourself enough to choose relationships that are positive, balanced, and supportive. And just as a sibling should be a source of comfort, they shouldn't add stress or compromise your sense of self-worth. In today's video, we're going to talk about 9 clear signs that it may be time to end every contact, even if it's with family or close friends. As we explore each sign, take a moment to reflect on your own relationships and consider if any of these signs resonate with your experiences. Are there people in your life who consistently make you feel drained or undervalued? If so, remember that you have the right to set boundaries and make choices that protect your well-being. If you're ready to build a circle of supportive, uplifting relationships, give this video a like and subscribe for more insights on creating boundaries that serve you. Now let's dive into these 9 signs that it's time to let go and discover how to prioritize relationships that bring peace and purpose into your life. Number 1. Avoid people who don't spend money. People who habitually claim to have no money often use this as a way to manipulate others, avoiding responsibility or expecting others to pick up the tab while they continue enjoying a lifestyle they choose for themselves. This behavior is problematic because it erodes trust and mutual support, which are essential elements in any relationship. Stoic teachings emphasize the importance of discernment and self-respect in relationships, encouraging us to avoid those who fail to take responsibility for themselves or who habitually take advantage of others. According to Stoic philosophy, relationships should be based on shared values and genuine mutual respect, not one-sided dependency. When someone consistently uses excuses like financial hardship only when they're with you, it indicates they may not value the relationship as much as they value their own interests. In many cases, Stoics would argue that this behavior reflects a lack of self-awareness or a weak character, both of which can be harmful. For example, Epictetus emphasized the importance of choosing friends wisely, urging his followers to align themselves with people of integrity who act out of genuine concern and respect for others rather than self-interest. Stoics valued self-sufficiency and strength of character, viewing reliance on others, when unwarranted, as a form of weakness. Imagine a friend who regularly joins social gatherings but never contributes, citing financial issues. Yet they seem to find money for things they enjoy, like dining out or buying luxuries when they are with others who might foot the bill. This approach not only shows a lack of reciprocity, but also takes advantage of the other person's kindness and resources, violating the Stoic value of justice. Justice, in Stoic terms, means giving everyone their due and acting with fairness. When someone habitually avoids contributing, they disrupt the natural balance of give and take that maintains healthy relationships. In such cases, the Stoic approach would be to recognize this behavior and, as hard as it may be, distance oneself from the relationship to protect one's peace and integrity. This kind of relationship reflects an imbalance where one person constantly gives and the other only takes. Marcus Aurelius, in Meditations, wrote that it is in your power to preserve your own mind in peace. This notion is essential in relationships, as allowing someone to consistently drain your resources or take advantage of your generosity can disturb your inner peace. While Stoicism teaches compassion and understanding, it also advises against letting others exploit these virtues. In a case where a friend regularly makes excuses about finances, one might feel obliged to help them out. However, over time, as this pattern continues, it becomes clear that the friendship is not based on equality, but dependency. Stoicism would encourage us to look at this relationship objectively, asking whether it truly brings value or if it's causing unnecessary stress and depleting one's energy. In Stoicism, friendships are meant to be uplifting and supportive, a space where individuals can grow in wisdom and virtue together. The philosopher Seneca, in his letters, advised people to associate with those who inspire improvement and encourage them to act with integrity. However, friends who are content to take advantage of others are unlikely to foster this growth. By constantly asking for financial help or taking advantage of one's resources, they detract from one's progress and divert focus away from pursuing virtuous goals. This distraction not only disrupts personal growth, but also creates emotional strain, a reminder that true friends should be those who support us rather than drain us. If you find yourself in a relationship with someone who constantly claims financial hardship, yet shows no real signs of struggling, it may be time to reassess. Stoic philosophy teaches us to focus on what we can control, such as choosing whom we spend time with and what values we uphold in our interactions. Maintaining relationships with those who take advantage of our goodwill can lead to frustration and resentment, both of which the Stoics viewed as harmful emotions. In ending or reducing contact with such individuals, we protect our peace and create space for relationships that bring mutual joy, support, and growth. By surrounding ourselves with people who value fairness and integrity, we embody Stoic principles and live a life closer to virtue and inner harmony. Number 2, avoid people who frequently quarrel and take sides. Constantly arguing over minor issues disrupts relationships and, according to Stoic philosophy, wastes precious time and energy. Stoics emphasize the importance of maintaining inner peace and avoiding unnecessary conflicts, a view that supports distancing oneself from those who habitually engage in quarrels. This behavior not only disrupts harmony, but also forces people into uncomfortable positions, like choosing sides, which can lead to resentment and damaged relationships. A wise person understands the value of harmony and strives to keep emotions under control, as constant confrontation erodes both the peace within and the stability of one's relationships. Imagine a friend who frequently argues over minor details, whether it's a disagreement over where to eat or a trivial misunderstanding. Instead of letting it go, they escalate the issue, making it a point of contention and even insisting that others take sides. In Stoic thought, this is a clear sign of misplaced values, as energy is spent on petty disputes rather than meaningful endeavors. Those who refuse to admit their mistakes and remain fixated on proving themselves right exhibit a lack of humility, a trait that Stoics deem essential for personal growth. A person who always believes they are right not only struggles to see other perspectives, but also disrupts the possibility of learning from their experiences. Epictetus advised his students to remain open to correction and willing to question their assumptions. A stubborn individual, however, tends to repeat the same mistakes, creating friction with those around them. For instance, in a group setting, a person who argues insistently without acknowledging others' viewpoints may quickly alienate others, who see their inflexibility as a sign of arrogance and disregard for the group's well-being. In Stoicism, a key virtue is wisdom, which includes knowing when to speak and when to remain silent. Engaging in an argument over something trivial indicates a lack of wisdom, as it prioritizes momentary satisfaction over long-term peace. Someone who constantly insists on proving a point, even in small matters, shows a need for control rather than a commitment to understanding. Seneca, a prominent Stoic philosopher, noted that arguing merely to win rather than to seek truth is both unproductive and self-centered. He emphasized that a wise individual prefers a peaceful mind to being right all the time. For example, in a work environment, a team member who regularly creates tension over minor decisions or personal disagreements can quickly drain the energy of the group, decreasing productivity and undermining cooperation. People who demand that others take their side often use manipulation to validate their perspective, further complicating relationships. Stoics advise against bending to such demands, as doing so can lead to inner conflict and compromise one's values. Choosing sides in every argument may temporarily ease the quarrelsome person's insecurity, but it ultimately creates cycles of dependency and resentment. For example, imagine a friend who insists you agree with them after every disagreement. By consistently taking their side, you might avoid conflict momentarily, but this choice sacrifices your integrity and will likely breed resentment over time. Instead, Stoicism suggests that maintaining neutrality and refusing to indulge in divisive tactics can safeguard your peace and promote more genuine relationships. Reflection is central to the Stoic path, and it can help us understand why some people engage in frequent quarrels and why we might respond to them. Reflecting on one's own tendency to argue or react emotionally, as suggested by Stoic teachings, fosters self-awareness and control. Epictetus encouraged his students to take note of their emotional reactions, questioning whether each response aligns with reason and contributes to a virtuous life. If a person finds themselves often involved in arguments or pressured by others to take sides, it may indicate a need for internal reflection and boundary setting. This introspection aligns with the Stoic practice of asking oneself, "Is this within my control? And does this add value to my life?" By distancing oneself from unnecessary arguments and embracing reflection, one can nurture a sense of tranquility and clarity. Number 3. Avoid people who take others' worries lightly. When someone dismisses others' struggles, it reveals a lack of empathy and understanding that Stoic philosophers would consider deeply concerning. Life's weight varies for each person. Challenges that may seem small to one person can be significant to another. True friendship means acknowledging and respecting this difference. In Stoicism, compassion and respect are intertwined virtues, with respect rooted in understanding the diverse perspectives and unique challenges others face. When someone lacks this, they fail to see the human worth in others, treating people's hardships as trivial. This mindset can strain or even ruin relationships, showing that a friend without respect is often more harmful than no friend at all. Consider a friend who, upon hearing your worries about a difficult project, responds with, "That's nothing, I have way more on my plate." While they may think they're putting things in perspective, they are in fact disregarding your experience and devaluing your feelings. This behavior reflects what Stoics would call a deficiency in justice, one of the 4 Stoic virtues. Justice, in Stoic terms, involves recognizing and respecting the worth of each individual, understanding that everyone's experiences are valid. Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, spoke about the importance of being understanding toward others' troubles, for everyone has their own private suffering. By failing to show respect for someone's struggles, a person not only fails in justice, but also risks isolating themselves from genuine connections. Gratitude and humility, expressed through simple gestures like saying thank you or sorry sincerely, are at the heart of respectful relationships. Stoic teachings remind us that gratitude acknowledges the shared human condition and the kindness of others. When someone lacks gratitude, it often suggests a sense of entitlement or superiority, as though they believe they are owed things rather than appreciating what others give or do for them. If a friend constantly overlooks what you do for them, failing to say thank you, or even expecting more without acknowledgement, they're not truly valuing the relationship. In Stoicism, such behavior would be seen as arrogance, which erodes mutual respect. Imagine a friend who, after receiving a favor, barely acknowledges it, as if it were their due. Over time, this lack of gratitude builds resentment. For the Stoic, gratitude isn't merely good manners, it's essential for personal harmony. Stoics believed that gratitude fosters resilience, enabling people to focus on the positives even in hardship. Someone who doesn't show gratitude is more likely to take everything for granted, which often leads them to complain or focus on what they lack. Epictetus advised his students to recognize blessings in every part of life, no matter how small, and to thank those who have contributed to their growth. In failing to do so, a person disconnects from the practice of self-reflection and the cultivation of a grateful heart, which Stoicism considers vital for inner peace. On the other hand, there are those who find joy in others' suffering, a behavior that Stoics would condemn as deeply unvirtuous. Taking pleasure in another's hardships signals a lack of respect for humanity itself, demonstrating envy or malice rather than empathy. This kind of behavior reflects a character deeply out of balance with Stoic values. True Stoicism involves feeling goodwill toward others, regardless of their circumstances. Marcus Aurelius repeatedly emphasized the importance of wishing for others' well-being, even when they've wronged us. So when a person takes satisfaction in others' misfortune, they reveal a profound disrespect, both for others and for themselves. Imagine a colleague who, upon hearing that you faced a setback, makes a veiled comment that hints at their pleasure in your misfortune. While they may believe it makes them superior, it actually reveals a weak character that Stoic wisdom would encourage us to avoid. Choosing friends who respect others and express gratitude can be a form of self-respect as well. In contrast, staying close to those who dismiss others' struggles or lack gratitude ultimately disrupts our own inner peace and progress. Stoicism encourages us to surround ourselves with people who lift us up and respect us as individuals, fostering a climate of mutual growth. Relationships should be spaces where we can share struggles and joys openly, knowing that they will be met with empathy, not dismissal. If a friend consistently disregards the value of gratitude or belittles others' challenges, Stoicism suggests re-evaluating that friendship, as such relationships seldom bring peace or fulfillment. Number 4. Avoid anyone who forces their religious or political beliefs on you. Relationships are built on respecting individual perspectives, a concept deeply valued in Stoic philosophy. When we try to impose our beliefs or opinions on others, it disregards the diversity of thought and experience that makes each person unique. Stoics believe that every person has their own path to follow, and that trying to force others into alignment with our own beliefs shows a lack of respect for this individuality. Instead of fostering understanding, this approach leads to conflict, often resulting in resentment. By acknowledging that differences are natural, we build relationships based on mutual respect and understanding, rather than control or domination. Consider a scenario where two friends have opposing views on a significant issue, such as religion or politics. One friend repeatedly tries to convince the other to change their viewpoint, seeing it as a way to help or guide them. However, this behavior often leads to tension, as the second friend may feel their personal beliefs are being disrespected. In Stoicism, respect for another's autonomy is essential. Trying to change someone's core beliefs disregards this, creating a power imbalance that harms the relationship. Epictetus advised that we focus on controlling our own actions and judgments, not those of others. In doing so, we allow others the freedom to be themselves without imposing our will, thereby preserving the harmony of the relationship. Arguments that attack the other person's pride or self-esteem are destructive, even if one feels justified in their perspective. When people argue to prove their point at any cost, they often damage the other's self-respect, leading to deep and lasting resentment. This approach is rooted in ego rather than wisdom. Stoicism teaches that wise individuals avoid confrontations that might harm others, understanding that such victories are hollow and short-lived. For instance, if a partner or friend makes a mistake, criticizing them harshly might prove a point in the moment, but it rarely leads to constructive outcomes. In fact, this can drive a wedge between people, as the person on the receiving end of harsh criticism may feel humiliated or belittled. Marcus Aurelius notes that winning an argument often comes at the cost of damaging the bond of friendship or trust that exists. A wise person, he suggests, does not insist on winning every debate, but instead values peace and goodwill over proving a point. Imagine a colleague who continually insists on correcting everyone's small mistakes, even publicly. While they may think they are enforcing accuracy, they often undermine morale and create resentment, leading to strained professional relationships. In this sense, Stoicism encourages us to prioritize the quality of relationships over any temporary satisfaction that might come from winning an argument. Furthermore, a victory achieved through harming another's pride doesn't bring genuine satisfaction. It is a fleeting triumph that often leaves the winner feeling empty, as it's based on outdoing another rather than fostering mutual growth. A Stoic approach would be to ask oneself, does this argument serve any lasting purpose, or is it merely an attempt to gratify my own ego? Seneca advises that we should approach disagreements with a calm mind, aiming to resolve rather than to win. In everyday life, this could mean letting go of a minor dispute with a family member instead of pushing to prove that you're right. Choosing to step back instead of escalating the situation can strengthen the relationship, showing that harmony matters more than one person's pride. The Stoics believed that real strength lies not in dominating others, but in controlling one's own impulses and reactions. When people argue to assert their superiority or to undermine another's beliefs, they lose sight of this principle, allowing their emotions to control them. Stoic wisdom teaches that self-mastery, rather than the mastery of others, is the true mark of strength. Imagine someone at a family gathering who insists on debating every opinion they disagree with. This person might view their persistence as strength or conviction, but to those around them, it appears as a lack of respect and self-control. Stoicism would encourage them to restrain the need to assert dominance, realizing that doing so brings greater peace and mutual respect. Number 5. If you feel distressed when meeting a friend, consider distancing yourself. In Stoicism, relationships are seen as dynamic, and subject to the changes and growth that each individual naturally undergoes. Initially, a friendship might bring great joy and connection, but as people evolve, sometimes in different directions, the relationship may no longer serve the same purpose for either person. This is a common experience that reflects life's inevitable changes, and Stoicism advises us to accept it with grace and wisdom. When two people become close friends, they often do so because of shared interests, experiences, or outlooks that align at that point in time. However, as each person navigates through different life paths, careers, and personal growth, the foundation that once held the friendship together may shift. Perhaps one person has developed a deep interest in new activities or a different way of thinking, while the other remains focused on familiar routines and conversations. This divergence can lead to a sense of disconnect, not because either person is at fault, but simply because both are growing in ways that don't fully overlap anymore. In such cases, Stoicism reminds us that it's natural to allow these changes to unfold without forcing the relationship to remain as it was. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus spoke about the importance of accepting things as they are rather than as we wish them to be. This principle applies to friendships as well. For instance, if you once shared a close bond with someone over a shared work environment or lifestyle, but have since moved in different directions, trying to maintain the friendship exactly as it was may lead to strain and disappointment. For example, imagine that you once connected with a friend over shared hobbies and late-night conversations, but now one of you has taken on a more demanding career or a family that requires more attention. Attempting to maintain the same level of connection can feel forced and may prevent each person from fully engaging with their present lives. Accepting this with compassion and understanding aligns with Stoic thought. It's essential to remember that relationships, as the Stoics teach, should be mutual and balanced, each person bringing a willingness to invest time and emotional energy. If the bond begins to feel one-sided, where only one person seems fully engaged, it can be wise to evaluate the nature of that connection. Often, the sense of discomfort or misalignment we feel is shared by the other person. Just as you may feel a growing distance or change, they may feel it too, making it fair and natural to gently ease away from frequent contact. This doesn't mean ending the relationship in a dramatic or hurtful way. Rather, it's about allowing space for both individuals to continue their paths without unnecessary strain. Stoicism teaches that we shouldn't cling to things that no longer serve us. Marcus Aurelius advised us to let go of relationships that no longer align with our values or growth. This doesn't mean cutting ties out of frustration or coldness, but understanding that reducing contact can be an act of respect. By gradually shifting the dynamics of the friendship, we create room for new relationships that may better complement who we are now. Additionally, this approach fosters a healthy sense of autonomy and respect for the other person's journey, as well as our own. For example, if you once saw a friend frequently but find that conversations have become limited or that your values now differ, you might choose to see them less often or interact in ways that suit both of your current lives. This way, the friendship doesn't become a source of friction or disappointment. Instead, each person is allowed the freedom to pursue their own growth while still valuing the shared memories and respect for each other's paths. This approach is also beneficial for personal growth. Relationships that feel forced or imbalanced can drain energy, creating stress and sometimes even guilt for not feeling the same enthusiasm as before. By mindfully choosing to spend time with people who align with our present values and priorities, we can focus on cultivating relationships that nurture our growth rather than clinging to connections that no longer feel right. Stoicism encourages us to view such decisions not as losses, but as natural adjustments in life's flow. Number 6. Avoid those who constantly complain about themselves. It's natural to want support during hard times. After all, life's challenges can feel overwhelming, and sharing worries with friends can offer comfort. However, Stoic wisdom teaches us that balance is essential in relationships, even in the act of seeking support. When someone continuously turns to you to unload their troubles without consideration for your own well-being, it reveals a lack of mutual respect and empathy. Stoics would encourage setting boundaries with such individuals, recognizing that a friend who respects you will seek your support mindfully, rather than using you as an emotional outlet. Imagine a friend who reaches out to you every time something goes wrong in their life. They call late at night, recounting all the difficulties they've faced, but never ask how you're doing or offer support when you need it. Initially, you might sympathize, thinking they just need someone to listen. Yet over time, you may start to feel emotionally exhausted, as if you're bearing the weight of their problems without any reciprocity. This kind of interaction drains your energy, making it difficult to focus on your own life or emotional well-being. Stoic teachings would encourage you to recognize that a friendship built on one-sided emotional reliance lacks balance. Epictetus advised people to carefully choose whom they keep close, as the energy we invest in others should uplift us rather than burden us. From a Stoic perspective, true friendships involve a healthy exchange of support, where both individuals feel valued and respected. If a friend only reaches out to share their hardships but disappears when you need them, it's a clear signal that the relationship lacks mutuality. Stoics believe that relationships should enhance our strength and self-awareness, helping us remain resilient in adversity. However, a friend who only takes without giving back can weaken our resolve, filling us with negativity and disrupting our inner peace. Seneca wrote that we should surround ourselves with people who improve us, those who uplift and inspire us to be better, rather than those who drain us. In such cases, establishing boundaries is essential. Instead of feeling obligated to listen every time this friend reaches out, consider setting limits on how often or how long you're available to discuss their problems. You could say, "I want to be here for you, but I also need to take care of my own mental space. Let's talk about solutions instead of just focusing on the negative." By doing this, you are not only preserving your own mental health, but also encouraging your friend to approach their issues with a solution-focused mindset. Furthermore, Stoicism teaches that people who consistently complain without taking action to improve their situations often lack resilience. Stoic philosophy promotes the idea of cultivating inner strength to face life's challenges with courage and acceptance. A friend who only sees problems and never takes steps to resolve them may lack this resilience, choosing instead to rely on others for constant validation and emotional support. This can be harmful, as they're not only depleting the listener's energy, but also avoiding personal growth by refusing to confront their challenges directly. The Stoics would advise encouraging such individuals to adopt a more proactive approach, helping them see that true strength lies in taking responsibility for one's own life. Another risk of allowing these one-sided relationships to continue unchecked is that we may absorb some of that negative energy, internalizing their constant complaints. Stoicism teaches us to maintain composure in adversity, but if we're continually exposed to negativity, it becomes harder to practice this calm. When we accept too much of someone else's emotional burden, we risk becoming reactive rather than resilient. Number 7, avoid people who break promises or take them lightly. In Stoic philosophy, keeping one's word is more than a mark of reliability. It's a fundamental expression of respect and integrity. When someone makes a commitment, they are showing they value your time, trust, and expectations. But when a person repeatedly disregards their promises, it reveals a deeper disregard for the other person's well-being and for the commitment itself. Stoicism encourages us to foster relationships built on mutual respect, and that means both valuing our own time and being mindful of the time others commit to us. Consider a friend who agrees to help you with a significant task, perhaps moving house or preparing for a big project. At first, you feel grateful, but as the day approaches, they suddenly cancel with a vague excuse. You rearrange and adapt, but it happens again and again, each time with little regard for the inconvenience they cause. This type of behavior isn't just inconsiderate, it erodes the foundation of trust in the relationship. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher and Roman emperor, emphasized the value of consistency and reliability in all actions. He believed that a virtuous person acts with integrity, honoring commitments as a sign of respect for themselves and others. In Stoicism, respect is a cornerstone of meaningful relationships. Promises, whether small or significant, serve as bonds that link individuals in trust. When someone frequently dismisses these bonds, they show that they don't respect the time or effort you invest. Keeping a promise, even in minor matters, shows that we see others as valuable and worthy of our word. Epictetus, another Stoic philosopher, often spoke about the importance of aligning actions with words. He believed that only by following through on promises could one cultivate true character. This alignment shows consistency, an attribute that Stoics valued as a pathway to living a virtuous and steady life. Maintaining relationships with people who habitually break promises can be draining. Imagine a colleague who repeatedly promises to cover for you in a time of need, only to back out at the last minute. You're left scrambling, often frustrated and questioning their reliability. Over time, this behavior disrupts your peace, as you start to anticipate their unreliability and make contingency plans. Instead of focusing on the task at hand, your energy is redirected toward managing the impact of their broken promises. Stoicism teaches that we have limited time and energy, both of which should be safeguarded. Allowing such people to continue disregarding commitments affects not only our trust in them, but also our own well-being. The Stoic approach would be to reassess such relationships, recognizing that they detract from our peace rather than add value. Rather than allowing habitual promise breakers to undermine our balance, Stoics encourage us to create boundaries. Seneca, another Stoic thinker, emphasized the importance of surrounding oneself with people who uplift and support one's journey toward virtue and inner calm. A person who respects you will honor their promises, or at the very least, communicate openly when circumstances change. Respecting one's own time also means not excusing repeated disrespect from others. For instance, suppose a friend constantly shows up late, cancels last minute, or forgets plans altogether. Stoicism teaches that our lives are valuable, and time is a resource we cannot regain once lost. While forgiveness is part of Stoic compassion, so is discernment. Allowing people to waste your time shows a disregard for your own value. The Stoic approach would be to communicate clearly and compassionately with such individuals, letting them know the impact of their behavior on the relationship. By setting boundaries, we maintain our self-respect and convey that our time deserves consideration. Imagine someone habitually canceling without remorse, affecting the plans and expectations of others. Each broken promise gradually shifts from inconvenience to a demonstration of their lack of respect. In response, a Stoic would remind themselves of their own worth, asking if such relationships align with their values. While Stoicism teaches compassion, it also stresses the importance of protecting one's own integrity. We may choose to forgive, but still recognize that the pattern of disrespect indicates a fundamental misalignment. Number 8. Avoid people who repeatedly share the same worries. Stoicism encourages us to act with kindness and wisdom, but it also cautions against becoming a passive receptacle for others' unproductive patterns. Life often brings challenges, and sharing our worries with friends is a natural, healthy way to seek comfort. However, there are some who dwell on the same issues repeatedly, avoiding real solutions and instead looking for validation of decisions they've already made. In these cases, Stoic teachings advise us to set boundaries, recognizing when our involvement does little to improve the situation and ultimately detracts from both their growth and our own peace. When a friend repeatedly brings up the same problem, there's usually a deeper hesitation to confront or address the issue head-on. Stoic wisdom would urge us to recognize that listening endlessly may not help them find a meaningful path forward. For instance, imagine a friend who frequently discusses wanting to leave a frustrating job. They complain about the long hours, poor treatment, and lack of fulfillment, yet each time they speak about it, they show no intention of acting on the advice they ask for. They may even come back with reasons why every suggestion is impractical. This pattern, while understandable, can strain the listener and subtly validate the friend's indecisiveness. Epictetus, a prominent Stoic philosopher, believed that we have control over our responses and that we should strive to align them with what is constructive. When friends habitually discuss the same worries without seeking a real resolution, it may be time to ask them directly if they are open to considering change. This compassionate redirection allows them to reflect on whether they truly want a solution or simply wish to remain in a state of comfort where the problems are discussed but not addressed. It also helps to clarify the boundaries of the listener's role, moving from passive acceptance to gentle encouragement for real progress. Another aspect of this dynamic is the expectation that a friend will merely affirm decisions that have already been made. Consider a friend who is indecisive about a relationship but repeatedly returns to the same complaints and fears. They may seek your confirmation to either end the relationship or stay in it, even though they seem to have settled internally on a choice they're reluctant to commit to. For the Stoic, offering sincere, thoughtful advice may sometimes mean gently challenging this indecision instead of repeatedly validating it. If we continue to offer only comfort without addressing the lack of action, we may inadvertently reinforce their resistance to meaningful change. True friendship, according to Stoic thought, involves fostering growth in one another, not just offering endless reassurance. Seneca, a Stoic philosopher, suggested that friendships should be spaces where individuals are encouraged to reflect on their behaviors and choices. This means that, at times, offering real, straightforward advice is more helpful than merely agreeing or commiserating. By doing so, we become more than passive participants in our friends' lives. We become mirrors that help them see themselves more clearly. A friend who is gently but firmly guided towards self-reflection may ultimately come to understand their own power to act, rather than remaining in a cycle of indecision. Stoicism also teaches that our time and emotional energy are limited resources, and we should use them wisely. Constantly hearing the same complaints can take a toll on our mental clarity and peace, leaving less room for our own growth. We may begin to feel drained, knowing the conversations won't lead anywhere productive. The Stoics advised valuing one's peace and mental clarity, a principle that applies to maintaining balanced relationships. By recognizing when we're no longer able to contribute meaningfully to someone's situation, we protect our own well-being. And this doesn't mean abandoning the friendship. It can mean shifting how we engage and encouraging them to seek their own answers. In offering sincere advice rather than passive validation, we cultivate relationships based on mutual growth and respect, qualities that Stoicism highly values. When we communicate openly with a friend, expressing that we believe they are capable of finding their own solutions, we not only honor their potential, but also affirm our commitment to a relationship that respects each person's independence and wisdom. A friend who is open to such honest dialogue is more likely to appreciate the boundaries we set and, in time, may come to see the value in addressing their challenges proactively. Number 9. Avoid people who boast excessively. Stoicism teaches us to embrace humility and live with a focus on the present, warning against the distractions of excessive pride or fixation on past achievements. People who constantly boast about their past successes, often in a way that diminishes others, are frequently masking a sense of dissatisfaction with their current lives. Their need to keep revisiting past glories may reflect an inability to find fulfillment in the present or to engage meaningfully with what's in front of them. Stoic wisdom encourages us instead to focus on the here and now, with humility and gratitude, which helps us to build a life that does not rely on old victories to feel worthy. When someone boasts only of their past accomplishments, it's often because the present lacks the same sense of purpose or success. For instance, a person who frequently talks about their achievements from years ago in sports, education, or career may feel insecure about their current role or status. They may derive their sense of self-worth from those accomplishments because they feel disconnected from anything meaningful in their current life. Stoicism urges us to avoid getting trapped in this mindset, as doing so can prevent us from building a fulfilling present and appreciating the ongoing journey of life. People who look down on others through excessive boasting may, ironically, be revealing their own insecurity. Stoicism teaches that true wisdom does not require validation or comparison to others. Epictetus, another Stoic philosopher, observed that it is impossible to learn that which one thinks one already knows. This highlights how excessive pride closes off one's mind to growth. For example, consider someone in a leadership role who constantly tells their team how successful they were in previous positions. Their frequent comparisons make it harder for them to connect with their colleagues now, missing the opportunity to be genuinely present and impactful. Their need to assert their past achievements creates a barrier to seeing what's possible now, both for themselves and their team. Stoicism emphasizes that true contentment and wisdom come from within, and this is often expressed through quiet humility. Those who have genuinely mastered their craft or achieved success often don't need to broadcast it, as they are secure in their journey and aware that fulfillment lies in present experiences, not in constant validation. By focusing on the present and embracing humility, one can fully engage in life's current offerings rather than relying on the past to provide a sense of self-worth. For example, instead of recounting past awards, a Stoic person in retirement might focus on how they can contribute to their community, sharing their time and skills in ways that help others. Such individuals embody a peaceful, confident presence that is far more impactful than boasting about past achievements. Their contentment in the present naturally draws others toward them, demonstrating that humble actions are often the most powerful. Another Stoic principle to consider is that clinging to the past often prevents us from experiencing gratitude for what we have now. When we focus only on previous achievements, we may begin to feel that the present is insufficient or disappointing in comparison. But Stoicism teaches us to appreciate life as it is now, recognizing that each day offers its own opportunities for growth and joy. By cultivating humility, we allow ourselves to see life's value without needing it to live up to past standards or comparisons. In practicing Stoicism, we learn that humility fosters inner peace and opens us up to the wisdom of the present moment. This not only brings fulfillment to our own lives, but also deepens our connections with others. By refraining from boastfulness, we encourage others to feel valued and supported. Ultimately, Stoicism reminds us that life's true rewards come not from clinging to past victories, but from embracing each day with quiet purpose, gratitude, and a humble spirit. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss future content. Thank you for watching. Conclusion. We've just explored 9 crucial signs that it may be time to step back from certain relationships, even if they involve family or close friends. While ending contact is never easy, sometimes it's necessary to prioritize your own well-being and growth. Healthy relationships are built on respect, trust, and mutual support, and when these are missing, they can take a serious toll on your peace of mind and sense of self. Remember, letting go doesn't mean you're failing anyone. Instead, it shows a deep commitment to honoring yourself and creating space for healthier, more balanced connections. By recognizing these signs, you empower yourself to set boundaries and make choices that protect your inner peace and happiness. If any of these 9 signs resonate with you, take it as a signal to reflect on the relationships in your life. Ask yourself if these connections still support who you are and who you aspire to be. You deserve to be surrounded by people who appreciate you, uplift you, and respect your boundaries. Thank you for watching and joining this journey of self-care and growth. If this video was helpful, give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe for more insights on creating meaningful, positive relationships. And as always, share your thoughts in the comments below. What signs do you think are the clearest indicators that it's time to step back? Let's continue supporting each other in building lives full of peace, respect, and genuine connection.